I went to the optometrist the other day, and boy, it was an adventure. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Emily. I created Definite Hearing as a way to increase awareness for the deaf and hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids myself, and I love them so much. I've been wearing them since I was 4 months old. I love them. But as I was recently reminded, hearing aids are not cure-alls for hearing loss. I hope you stick around to the end of this video because if you do, I'm going to share some tips to make your visit to the optometrist or eye doctor easier. All right, so let's chat about the eye doctor. I went to the eye doctor just recently and it was just my normal annual checkup. I walk into the door, go up to the secretary and realize, oh my goodness, duh, we're still in COVID. So of course there are the plexiglass panels and the assistant's wearing her mask and I'm like, oh dear, this is going to be a new environment. I've been used to being in the store and having brief interactions with people, but I realized I really haven't been to the doctor in over a year and this is going to be so interesting. So I just headed back. It was time for my appointment. I headed back and she told me like, oh, go ahead and take out your contacts, and I've been here before so I knew what to do, and they just had some separate packages of contacts and bottles. And anyway, so I washed my hands, I started taking my contacts out, and all of a sudden I couldn't see, and she had left and she came back and she started talking to me and my vision's not very good. I just had to tell her right there. I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm hard of hearing. I did not hear what you just said at all. I have really bad vision. My vision is about -6, which means that in order to see something, it has to be like 6 inches from my face, like super close. And so she was super nice. She tried taking down her mask after trying a couple times. I still couldn't read her lips. I couldn't see. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? So luckily I went into autopilot and was able to like just do what I do every single year when I go back to the eye doctor. So I just kind of followed her into the little room. I'm glad I had been there before, but we sat down and you have to do 2 assessments before you do the eye exam. Now, every eye doctor is different, but it helps if you can know what to expect before you take your glasses or your like visual devices off, because all of a sudden I was having to completely rely on my hearing devices because I couldn't see like hardly at all. So it helps to be aware of what process you're going to be going through when you go to the eye doctor. So I knew that there were going to be 2 machines and 2 preliminary assessments. The first one was the auto refractor. The auto refractor, you just sit in a chair, you put your chin in a chin rest, and there's a little light. And this auto refractor doesn't do anything except for when you're looking at this photo. It could be of a barn, of a hot air balloon, of another landscape photo. It goes in and out of focus. And this machine is trying to figure out how round your eyeball is. Some eyeballs are shaped like footballs and some are more round like basketballs. And so this auto refractor just tests your eye to see how round it is and if it reacts to in and out of focus stuff. I am not an optometrist, okay? But the auto refractor was the first device I sat down on, and I knew what that one was gonna do because I had done it before. The next device that I sat down at was the tonometer, and I hate the tonometer. That's really strong for me to say something like that, but this machine like makes me very anxious because what it does is you look at a light and it shoots air, a puff of air, into your eye. Essentially, this machine just wants to measure the pressure on your eye to see if you have glaucoma. Anyway, they do it to everyone. It's like standard procedure to make sure that your eyes are healthy. But you sit down and you have to stare at this light, keep your eyes open long enough till they shoot you with air. And it is not very fun. I dislike that machine. And so once that was done, we went into the eye exam room, and I knew this is where they were going to have me use a little spoon thing to cover my eye and read some letters, tell them how much I could see on the chart and everything. And this lady, she tried to like hold up some fingers. I couldn't even see her fingers. It was like ghost fingers. I could see her hand going up, but that was about it. My vision just is not great at all. So, and then she said I did great and it was great. I just kind of bumbled through it because I had been there before and I knew what to expect. And then at the end of that, she told me, stay here. The doctor will come in when he's available. So I said, okay. So at that point, I started taking some selfies. Check it out. Because I was like, I should make a video on this. This is like so applicable. So I started taking selfies and it was great. Anyway, the eye doctor comes in and he just asked me, hey, how are you doing? And I said, good. And that was about it. Like, I didn't want to carry on a conversation because it was already so difficult for me to see and hear and understand what's going on. So my answers were super short, super concise. He had his mask on and I just was in this zone where I just had no desire to carry on a conversation. If you felt that, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear in the comments. That's perfectly normal. I just realized that this optometrist visit was going to be like so different from all my other interactions with coronavirus and masks. I just thought, you know what? I get to choose which battles I want to fight, and this is not one of them. So the next part of the exam was that he used the phoropter to, it's like an owl eye looking thing that goes over your eyes and they flip the lenses. They say like 1 or 2, 3 or 4. And this is so that they can see how your eyes will do with correction. So this is nice because things become more clear. And he only says about 5 different things when he's doing this. Like, can you see that clearly? Ignore the brightness on the top or the bottom. Which one do you like best? 1 or 2, 3 or 4, A or B, C or D. I totally want to go figure out who in the world like named half of the alphabet letters similar names. Like, why do we have B, C, D, P, like all these letters that sound the same? I like tried to figure out if there was one person who was responsible for forming the current alphabet that we have, but unfortunately it dates back to the ancient Greek, Old English, Middle English. Johannes Gutenberg is like the closest one person that they attributed it to because of his invention with the printing press. So unfortunately there's no one person that gets the title and the credit for creating our modern English 26 letter alphabet. But if anyone wants to create an alphabet in the future, just maybe try to make the letters sound differently. I have to say, anytime I do this test, it takes me back to my childhood and the day that I realized that I couldn't tell the difference between these letters. And when I couldn't hear, I was so scared to ask the optometrist to repeat themselves that I just guessed a random letter. And I remember my mom saying that, oh, she's hard of hearing. She doesn't know what her options were. Go ahead and say them again. And it just took me back to that time of like how difficult it was and still is as a hard of hearing person to like understand at an eye appointment. That was just like a flashback I experienced. And because I've been going to the eye doctor for so long, I know what to expect. I know the questions they ask and I just know what's going on. I did recently talk to a couple of hard of hearing people and they asked, you know, I haven't gone back since coronavirus. What should I expect? And then someone else was like, I have never gone to the eye doctor before, and I was shocked because they got shot with air for the tonometer machine, but they didn't realize that's what was going on. They were just shocked. Apparently the eye assistant had told them that the tonometer was going to shoot air, but they didn't hear that because of the masks. And so I just hope that sharing my experience at the eye doctor will help you understand like what it's like and those feelings that are normal, to have these feelings of like, I have no idea of what's going on. Can you please repeat that? You know, admitting like, yes, I am hard of hearing and I can't see you. This is kind of crazy. And just kind of dealing with it and realizing that like you get to choose which battles to fight. Like I could have let this bother me and throw me off for the whole day, but I decided not to because it was just a quirky thing. I go to the eye doctor once a year. Hopefully by next year, it will be normal again. Hopefully, right? Hopefully. So I am so glad you stuck around to the end of this video. Considering that whole experience, I just want to share a few things that you can consider that may make your visit to the eye doctor easier. Number 1, consider using a remote or lapel mic. So what this is ReSound and Phonak and other hearing aid providers have remote mics. Essentially, it can be a pen or a lapel mic. You give that to the person that's going to be talking to you, say the optometrist assistant or the optometrist themselves, have them clip it on their lapel or hold it. So then that way, you don't have to worry about not seeing the person for those visual hearing cues, but instead their voice is transferred straight to your hearing device. Next, before you take your visual devices, whatever you want to call it, your contacts or your glasses off, I highly recommend talking to whoever's in charge, whether it's the assistant or the doctor, and say, I'm going to take my visual devices off and it's going to be really hard for me to see you and hear you. And so can you please tell me what to expect throughout this appointment, and have them kind of walk you through what to expect. I didn't have the assistant do that, but what she could have told me, I could have said, can you please explain to me like what to expect? And she would say, okay, so to start, you're going to go to that sink, take your contacts out, put them in here. When you're done, we're going to go into this first assessment room. We're going to do 2 tests, the autorefractor and the tonometer. The autorefractor, you'll sit in this chair, put your chin in the lip, and look at the light, and I'll measure your eyes and it will be great. When we're done with that and I give you a thumbs up, you're going to move to the next chair, put your chin in there, look in the light, and this tonometer is going to shoot your eye with a little puff of air. It doesn't hurt your eye, but it is very surprising. Okay? And then she could have said, when that is done, we'll go into the examination room. And at that point, this assistant could have told the doctor to tell me what to expect next, but it would have been nice to have that like overview of what we're doing and what to expect. So then that way, I don't have to wonder this whole time, like what's gonna happen to me. Like my friend that I talked to, she sat in front of the tonometer and didn't realize that her eye was gonna be blasted with a puff of air. Like that is shocking. And then it's embarrassing later to realize that they told you that, but you didn't hear that. So that's number 2, is ask for an overview. Number 3, be ready to advocate for yourself. You can tell them right when you get there that you have a hearing loss. You can tell them when you take your visual devices off. You can tell them whenever you feel comfortable. I told them when I was taking my contacts off and I realized that I was having difficulty understanding just because I didn't think about it till then. And typically I don't think about my hearing loss until I realize that I can't understand what is going on. All right, the next item is that sign language can come in clutch here. Now, if you're super visually challenged like I am, I don't know what you want to call it, I just can't see. Sign language is hard. Like it has to be very obvious movements, and so a thumbs up works really well for me. It's kind of whatever works for you, but as far as those communications, it's good to say to the assistant like, hey, when we're done with this test, give me a thumbs up. Or with the optometrist, hey, when you're saying 1 or 2, if you could hold up fingers, that would be great. And that helps a lot. Just communicating with them what signs or signals work for you. And last but not least, the best way to ensure that you're understanding what's going on when you can't see or hear is to repeat back what the person said. For example, on the phoropter test, when he would say A or B, C or D, 1 or 2, 3 or 4, I would just reply with the first one or the second one, because sometimes I couldn't tell the difference between letter C or D, but I definitely knew which one was the first one and which one was the second one. If you inform your optometrist that you're hard of hearing and you inform them that you'll be responding to the first one or the second one, that just helps them understand that like, hey, they just want to make sure they get the right prescription, which is exactly what I want. Growing up, I wondered a couple times if I had the right prescription, and then I connected 2 and 2 and realized that maybe I had responded with the wrong letter or the wrong number, and therefore I really had got the wrong prescription. Has that ever happened to you? If so, I would love to hear in the comments below. Going to the eye doctor as a hard of hearing person is such a unique challenge. Are you scheduled to go to the eye doctor soon? If so, do you have any other tips or thoughts? If so, I would love to hear them in the comments below. All I want to say is you are not alone as a hard of hearing person who also has difficulty seeing. That is me as well. These are not my real glasses. These are my blue light glasses. Check that out. Looks like I have like cute little eyes. But these are my blue light glasses. I wear these when I work on the computer, but my real glasses look very similar to this. So there they are. There is this video. If you have any questions or comments for me, please let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to making more great content for you. And as always, stay strong and stay amazing. Have a great day. Bye. That is so funny. So fun. There are my hearing aids.